I was just on my way to a meeting. I've been driving about half an hour to get there, and I've just had a call to say that they're cancelling. That's quite short notice, right? I'm literally on my way. They're cancelling because their father is unwell, and I think that's a pretty good excuse. And I said straight away, it's fine. It really doesn't matter, and it really doesn't, does it? It's only work. And so what it's prompted me to think is I'm going to make a short video today about some of the aspects of business advice you may not think actually happen, which are all the personal impacts of your customers. So once a month, I will speak to someone who's under so much pressure or is suffering as a person who will burst into tears. And you obviously have to support that. Or I'd feel I do anyway. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and I will make that video as soon as I get back to the office. Didn't go back to the office in the end. I've come for some breakfast somewhere. I'm not sure where this is going to go really, but I'm going to talk about stress, mental health, personal challenges in business, the ones I encounter quite regularly with people and sometimes have myself, because I think that's very common in business. There is a lot of stress. What prompted me is lots of things. About 3 weeks ago I spoke to a potential customer who was ready to give me the money for the job. He said, I need to tell you before we go ahead that, I've been suffering from depression. Literally was about to send me the money. And I said to him, we need to stop. We need to have a stop and think, a cooling off period where you think about this very seriously. Don't pay me today. I'm not going to speak to you for a week. Then we'll speak next Tuesday and we'll see where we are. When we spoke next Tuesday, I said we'll have another week cooling off. Because it's an interesting idea, isn't it? If you're suffering from mental health issues, to actually take on a new business is a risk, really. Being in business and running a business is a relentless task where you never have to stop selling, you never have to stop fulfilling, you never have to stop, really. Anyone in business will say that. You never really stop thinking about it. I don't think. So we had this cooling off period. Then I went for a drive with someone recently who I know quite well, and he said, I've suffered from stress at work. No one would ever know, right? That's the point of stress and mental health, isn't it? Is no one ever speaks about it, really, even now, more so I guess, but it's not something you admit in work, especially if you're a manager, a leader or a business owner, because to say you are unable to manage the situation or deal with what's going on, it is a sign of, in business, is potentially a sign of weakness, isn't it? I don't think it is at all. At all. But the perception is that if I admit to my employees or my customers that I've been having some mental challenges and stress challenges, that they make conclusions. I don't think it is at all. I think talking about it is exactly the right thing to do in business. And that brings me on to what I'll call just stories. I didn't know where this was going to go, and I still don't, of things that happen to business advisors on a regular basis. So let me think. I can think of going to see a customer. Didn't know them very well. I knew her husband was ill. Walked into the meeting. She said, I can't really cope with this. I said, because this is my policy on it, well, I'll do this for you for nothing, because I know you're suffering at the moment, and it's just a small gesture. I will do. It was business stuff. It was I can't remember what it was actually. I'll look after your website or something for a month, so you don't have to worry about it. And she doesn't know me, right? We're not friends. She immediately burst into tears and put her arms around me and cried. Right? Because it's a pressure cooker, isn't it? This is not a medical video, right, or a doctor video. It's a pressure cooker, isn't it? It's a cycle. The chemicals in your body increase to deal with the situation, and then you feel stressed again and increase some more. So that was not science. My point is, there has to be a release. Sometimes your business advisor is that release. And that's the part of the job I don't think people realise, is sometimes the job is to go and see a business and sit down and just listen. And just listen. Because to be the outsider and not part of the tangled web, I guess, of stress and personal issues, it is a release of sorts. Okay? I can think of loads of occasions every month and a half someone will have a personal conversation with me. I remember someone sent me an email saying that they'd had enough of life. I'm the business advisor, so then I have to escalate that and report it to the right people and take some action to ensure everything is okay. I can think of a customer where I was working with the father in the family business and he died suddenly. Then you're in a scenario working with a family who are grieving, trying to help them piece together the business, because the business doesn't stop. The business does not care how you feel. And that's the thing about today. And the lady I was talking about earlier who has cancelled the meeting because her father's not well. Because I knew there was something not right, because I wouldn't call it absent, but less responsive, quick answers on emails, things like that. And so I've just gone back to her, and this is my policy on it, and said, I'll tell you what, for a month, don't think about social media. I'll do all that for you. She likes to do her own social media, but the business will not forgive you for breaks in marketing. That's not how it works. It doesn't have emotions, does it? The act of business is, if I do marketing, I cannot have breaks because brand awareness falls away. To be honest, if you're really stressed and really suffering mentally, and then that really shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. I think the only way you realise that is to actually be low yourself at points, and I've had some dark periods due to business in the past, and to understand that actually asking for help is the best thing you can do. Being honest is the best thing you can do. I don't know a single situation where when someone opened up it didn't get better, to be honest with you. So my approach on this is I'm always very aware that personal lives and persons, if you know what I mean, the mental health of us all is a factor. I could be talking about AdWords for 3 hours and something will come out of left field and we'll have to talk about it. You have to talk about it. Or you don't, you can leave. I don't leave. So when I managed an advisory team, which I was very bad at, but when I did, about 20 years ago, I remember one chap came to me and he said, I can't deal with this job anymore. It was a performance review. I can't deal with this job anymore. The guy's name is Steve. I can't deal with this job anymore. I said, all right, what do you need? You need some training in, I don't know, counselling or coaching or anything? He goes, no, I just cannot deal with the people, the stress of the people. I go and see the businesses and they are passing on to me their problems, their issues, their stress, their emotions, and it's stressing me out to the point where I'm bringing it up in a performance review and I want some help. And I was like, well, I'm not quite sure what the help is, Steve. What is the help I can give you there? Because that's part of the job. So you've got two types of advisor, really, and business advisor. You've got the one who is, and that is a dangerous game, I should say. That is a dangerous game. I remember a colleague advisor years and years ago going into a business where a father and son were in dispute, were really in conflict and siding with one side because he thought that would help. And that does not help. That is a can of worms that you just opened and can't put the lid back on. So I am always very conscious that you can't snap your fingers and fix a stress situation in any way in business. You can't snap your fingers and make someone feel better and actually make them feel better permanently. But you can listen. You don't get, I was going to say you don't get paid to listen, but I think it's part of the job. You can sit and listen and have some empathy. That's easy for me to say. And you can give your own stories and say, and this is my point, this is what I try to do. So you are not alone. I rang into Radio 5 once, Nicky Campbell show. The show drove me nuts. You had all these leading entrepreneurs saying how wonderful business was and how great it was for life. So I texted and said, hang on a minute, can we have a bit of balance here? This is probably one of the hardest things you ever do in your life, and it does not work for lots of people. You know, 45% of businesses survive 3 years, 5 years. That means half of them have gone with costs of bankruptcy, costs of investment, costs of family, costs of relationships sometimes. I said, can we have a bit of balance? So they rang me back and I went on the radio. And I remember this woman, one of the women, it doesn't matter, she's a woman, could have been a man as much as thing. One of the business people said to me, well, yeah, but that's because you've got a bad business plan when things go wrong. And I just remember saying, actually I was speechless. Luckily, one of her fellow presenters, not presenters, one of the people on the radio, came straight in. He said, no, this is true. This is like, it's very stressful running a business and peaks and troughs of having to deal with life and business. And, you know, the fact that you think a business plan will save you is naive in the extreme and optimistic at best. And quite frankly, you haven't had your challenge yet if you think that. Because when you do, you will need some help. And it might be a business advisor, it might be a friend, could be anything. But my point is, you should ask for help because you will get it. So I try to cope with that by not trying to fix things. I try and listen a lot if it comes up. I try and give some stories back without judgment or comparison, just to say, oh yeah, I know how you feel a bit. And I also try and do the occasional act of kindness within my capability, which may be, and I can think of a particular case, well, it'll take me an hour of my time to do something to your website to improve it. An hour of my time when you're at your lowest low. Nothing. I'll do it. No payment. So that's my video about some of the realities of being a business advisor and in business. And I do feel quite passionate about it. And that's my approach. Listen, share, a small act of kindness within the capabilities that I have. And does it make a difference? I don't know. Is it all I have? Yes, it is.